Hello everyone, I'm Lynn Scanella and welcome to my podcast, Fruitful Conversations, where we chat to people who share their stories to teach and inspire us to be better versions of ourselves. Now, I live in the Northern Rivers of New South Wales, and to make a buck, I write, I speak and I train all around helping others to work with people that they just don't get. Now, this episode comes with a warning because we're going to talk a lot about cake. We also talk about small business, about lessons learned along the way, and about relationships that women have with other women. But we still talk about cake. So if that's not floating your boat, why don't you pop over and have a look at some of the other episodes, because I chat with a wide range of people. Maybe try episode 5 with Julian Mather. Now, Julian is an ex-army sniper turned cameraman turned smartphone evangelist, and he knows loads about personal change. Now, I love cake. And coincidentally, I love to eat. So my taste buds were tingling when I began to interview our next guest. Larissa Huntington is the founder and baker of Artisan Bakery Little Pudding, who deliver beautiful cakes to Sydney's cafes and also creates gorgeous celebration cakes. Larissa is a mum of 2. She's an ex-journo, so she loves to write and also to indulge her natural creativity with painting and photography. Grab yourself a cuppa and a bit of cake, sit back and enjoy my conversation with Larissa Huntington. So, hello, Larissa.
Hi, Lynn. How are you?
Hey, great. Thank you very much. It's so lovely to have you. I wanted to ask you, you went from being a full-on journalist, 7 years with the Daily Telegraph, into having a home-based business. What sparked the change?
Well, it's predominantly a lifestyle decision.
Mm-hmm.
The deadlines for newspapers were not going to work with a new baby, and I, spoke about it with my husband, and we made the decision because it just was better for our lifestyle. So when I was on maternity leave from the Daily Telly, my older sister had a couple of cafes, and she very helpfully said to me, while you're not doing anything, can you bake me a couple of brownies and crayons and stuff? And so I took those down to her, and they all sold, and that was great. And then a few of her cafe friends started asking where she was getting her cakes from. And so before I knew it, I had a little business on my hands and was supplying, I think, 4 cafes. And then it was time to go back to work. And so my husband and I sat down and just had a realistic discussion about, can we afford childcare, and did I really want to give up this little opportunity that I had to go back to the newsroom? And, I love it. I love the newsroom and the thrill of it, and the change of every day. It was never routine. It was wonderful, but I had to be realistic, and I thought we'd give it a go. And then so I pivoted into baking.
Obviously you enjoyed baking before you did this.
I've always been a baker, a cook. And Charles, my husband, and I always loved food. It was one of the things that we bonded over.
No better thing in my mind to bond over than food.
Yeah, and he's in the kitchen just as much as me. So
nice.
But we love it, and I've always done it. And this was just an extension. I mean, I've always said my big loves are writing and food. And baking especially, and so I just felt a bit spoiled, actually. Some days then I wake up and think that I'm still on holidays from
right. Okay. And you've been baking now at home. You've had Little Pudding for how long?
10 years now.
Yeah. Okay. So that's wow. So, and you still wake up thinking you're on holiday. That is the sign of someone who is loving what they're doing.
I still have the stress dreams of being on deadline, from the paper, and I don't tend to get those now.
No, I bet you don't. But listen, I've got a joke for you. Did you hear about the writer who became a baker? Perfect, right?
Perfect. No, I didn't. What happened?
They make excellent synonym rolls.
See, I'm such a grammar nerd. I love that.
I knew you would love that. Most people listening will go, you are joking. And if my sons are listening, they will die of embarrassment. But I thought it was very clever and I knew you would enjoy it. So tell me then, what do you love about baking itself?
Oh, the end result mostly.
Mm.
Well, I love the fact that I can pop a book or a podcast in my ears while I'm working each day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of people get that luxury.
Yeah.
I love the creativity of it, particularly the weddings and birthdays. So in addition to, I supply 10 cafes now, but in addition to that, that's my sort of bread and butter. On the weekends, I do birthday cakes and wedding cakes, and the feedback and the beautiful comments and stuff from people that you get is just something that's irreplaceable, and I really treasure, and it feels like you're sharing a part of their special day. And
you know, how lovely.
It's a really joyous thing to do.
Yeah, it is joyous. Baking is joyous, and your cakes are so beautiful. You have to follow Larissa on Instagram just for the drool factor. But listen, I do have a question for you, because years ago, when I met you, you didn't use fondant. You were like fondant schmondant, you know. And now I'm seeing you're doing these incredible fondant creations. What's that about?
Well, look, I get a lot of support from my local mum community, from the school and that kind of thing. And a lot of them want, you know, characters from movies and things like that. But even my son, the latest one that I just did for him was this creepy guy from Fortnite that looks absolutely shocking, and you know, it doesn't fit in my Instagram, my beautiful feed at all, but there's my 2020 problems right there. So I had to paint this god-awful creature on fondant for him. But again,
look, I saw it and I thought, that is not the most beautiful cake you have ever done, but your son's come first.
I'm growing with it. Probably I didn't like it because it was really tricky at first, but like everything with this business, you've got to just grow with it. And the one piece of advice I'd say to people is, don't be scared. You know, if you love something and you love it as that much, you just keep at it, and you will grow with every single cake that you make or every project that you do, and you'll get better and better. Yes. So now
I couldn't agree more. Sorry, go on.
I feel like I've got a better handle on it now. So I mean, I still don't go in for those sort of 5-tier wedding cake creations.
Yes.
So I know my limits.
I don't know.
Stuff, I can do that.
No, I think the sky's the limit with you. So you seem really like smart and creative, and you know, very together. Have you always been like that?
Well, thanks, Lynn. No, when I got out of school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so that took a few years. And I've always loved writing, so I eventually found my way to a BA in communications and journalism, and I went from there. But no, I've always been together, you know.
What about creative? Have you always been creative? Because I know that you also love, you know, you love to paint, you write, you do your own photography, I think, for your cakes.
Yes, always loved that sort of outlet.
And does that come from the family?
No. I wonder. The baking comes from the family. I often wonder where I get my spelling Nazi tendencies as well, because my family's not that big into writing, or, you know, I don't come from a line of journalists, that's for sure. It was something that I just knew about myself and that I wanted to pursue. So I, you know, put my big girl pants on and got into the uni course that I wanted to get into, and then applied for the internships throughout uni at the paper, and then at the end of my degree I got a cadetship.
Great.
And it kind of went from there. So it's just leaps of faith, really. Myself is always together.
You know, and the other thing is that all of us sort of present this together thing that we have. But
I personally don't think that anybody who's balancing motherhood and a career or a business of any type can confidently say, I'm together.
I couldn't agree with you more. I had two small boys and was running a business, and I'm out the other end. But even when I think about it, and people say, well, what advice can you give to someone who's right in the thick of it? I just don't think it's easy, Larissa. I don't think there is any answer. And I think you're right. No one is fully together in that moment, because you're sleep deprived, you're running yourself ragged, you are full of guilt about work, kids and husband. It's quite a difficult time. I think it's quite hard to strike a balance. And anyone who just goes, yeah, I got the perfect balance, not sure if I believe in them.
Yeah. Look, there's been a couple of things in my life where I've just had to get on with it and see it through. And I suppose, those things have taught me, particularly, through my pregnancy, there were some things that I had to overcome unexpectedly. And, I think lessons like that just teach you to put your head down and grind through it, and it'll pass, this too will pass.
I think has to be one of my lifelong sayings that I've clung to. This too shall pass. Speaking of pregnancies, I remember when, for listeners, I met Larissa when we were neighbours, and I remember coming up to your place to visit you and your baby, and you were bottle feeding. And one of the first things you did was jump in and explain why you were bottle feeding. And was that to stop me from judging you?
Probably, if I'm honest. Yeah, you cop a lot of judgment from people, it's particularly through motherhood, but one of the instances, and yes, I couldn't bottle feed. Do you want me to go into why?
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you that. So, there's a reason, like, I'll just say this also to people who are listening, bottle feed or breastfeeding, right? Whatever, your choice, go ahead and do it. There's a lot worse things in life than not breastfeeding your kid. And I think that when especially as mothers, you are a target, probably more than any other time in your life, for judgment, and sadly from other women. Are you breastfeeding? Why aren't you breastfeeding? Haven't you got them into that school yet? Are you using controlled crying? Oh my God, you're still breastfeeding. Why are you doing that? It goes forever. So I just wanted to say that first, that if you are, for anybody out there, it's fine. But it was more than choice for you that made you bottle feed. You had a far more significant reason, Larissa. So if you're okay with it, I'd love you to share that story.
Okay. So when I was about 4 months, it was about 3 months pregnant, I was diagnosed with a benign breast disease. It's called PASH. That's the acronym for it. And it basically meant that I had benign tumours in my breast that were growing uncontrollably. So my bra size went from like a D to an I in the space of 3 months. I don't know if it's the estrogen just sent my body crazy. I'm not sure. To this day, we don't even know. There's not very much research done on the condition. But it was my normal breast tissue, but in very, very dense lumps. And so I had a breast surgeon, and I had several opinions. They sent me to get different opinions on whether or not what they wanted to do, which was quite extreme. But in the end, it was decided that it was the only option for me, because they weren't sure what they were dealing with and whether it could turn malignant. And so I, at 4 months pregnant, I underwent a double mastectomy. And,
that's it's insane to think about.
Some people are worried about taking Panadol when they're pregnant, or can I have this? Can I have that? Believe me, going in for such major surgery when you've got your firstborn inside you, I was petrified. But, we got through it. We got out the other side. And then also what happened, after I gave birth to Nicholas,
Yeah.
my body still thought, so I had some temporary fillers in, and my body still thought that I was meant to produce milk. And
Yeah.
so I ended up with mastitis at 6 weeks after I'd given birth to Nikki, and and I was rushed into the hospital again for emergency surgery to get the temporary fillers, which were all infected, out. And that was even more scary, because it's one thing to go into surgery when you're just you know, and what will be. But when you've got a little person, you know, depending on you, I was white knuckle frightened. But again, came out of it. And, you know, the 2 weeks after that were even worse, because I had to have these drains in, and a community nurse would come twice a week and replace these drains for me. I wasn't allowed to pick up Nicholas, so Charles, by this stage, had used his maternity leave. He had to go back to work. I had to rely on my friends and family to come around and help me to pick up my baby and feed, like put him, you know, so that I could feed him and stuff. It was a horrendously hard time. And I just look back on it now and just think, how the hell did you get through that? But
I suspect most people feel like that through every hard time. You just look and go, really? How did that happen? Yeah. It must have been a really terrifying time for you. And that resonates with me. Yeah, when it's just you, it's like I can manage this. But when you have a tiny little person to care about, then it adds a whole new level, doesn't it?
It does. It's completely different. Changes everything. You know, so, and there was the sleep deprivation and the whole bit that you go through, and I don't know, we just laugh about it now. It's the only way you can sort of, you know, look back on it.
Yep. Yes, it pretty much is. I'm a great believer in having a really strong coven of girlfriends is critical. Is critical. So if you had that, that's a good thing.
I certainly did. Very lucky.
Yes. Is there anything with your girlfriends that's off limits as far as topics are concerned?
Well, again, I don't know, Lynn. I mean, yes, one of my very, very, very good friends passed away in her own childbirth issue. She had HELLP syndrome, and her blood pressure was really, really high, and she was in hospital. And they were monitoring her, but then she had a stroke I think she was at 34 weeks, and she didn't survive it. Her baby did, little Francis, so he's 3 now. Yeah, but it breaks my heart every day, and I'm still dealing with that.
So that's I can see that. That's so when I'm talking about topics that are off limits with your girlfriends, that's something that you don't all talk about a lot?
Yeah, of course we talk about her. We remember her as, you know, as much as we can to keep her alive and keep the stories alive for her baby. You know, it's very, very important to me. To make sure that he knows who she was. And she was so funny. God, she was funny. I remember she was there at my bedside when I got out of that first surgery.
Yeah.
For the breasts, and, you know, she just said to me, "Oh, you fucking bitch, like, you just lost 6 kilos overnight." Because there was literally like 3 kilos out of each breast that I lost. And that was her reaction to it.
That's they're the best friends that sort of slap you around in the face, and it's easier to deal with that, isn't it? Than, I don't know, that are you going to be okay? For me anyway, the ones that sort of slap me around a bit and make me move on.
Well, you know, when they know you from school, there's not much that, you know, isn't.
Yeah, look, that's very true. It's interesting. Do you think it's as important for us to make friends as we get older? Like now you've made friends, you know, you might have your school friends or your uni friends, and I'm talking about girlfriends here. You might have made friends at the school. As you getting older, do you think it's just as important to have and make girlfriends?
Yes, I think it is, but it's harder to find time to nurture those friendships. I'm just about to go down to my friend's farm again, and that's my core school friends. And, our partners all luckily get along really well, and we're about to do that again just this weekend. And, so we try to make time to see each other. That's your natural friends, the friends that know you inside and out, and that, anything goes. You don't have to pretend to be anything else. Not that I pretend, but,
no, but that's an interesting point, because I think sometimes when I ask this question, a lot of the time women say to me the only thing that stops them talking about something to their really core group of friends is usually the fact that if something's bothering them about that friendship. And I think that's quite ironic that they're happy to talk about everything except the friendship. But it sounds like with you lot, you could even talk about those things.
We've had our issues over the years, but I think we just keep coming back to, I don't know. I don't know. We just know each other. It's like your siblings almost. It's a different family, and you just, you forgive things with your siblings as well.
Yeah. It's a special thing. There's a book that I had a look at. I haven't read it. It's called Girl Talk by, do you know it?
No.
Girl Talk by, I think it's by Jacqueline Moroz or something like that. She's a science-based writer for New York Times. And so she went and found all this research on why women's friendships are so strong. I must take a look at it. But in it, there's things like we live, the fact that we have these really strong friendships allow us to live longer, have stronger hearts, less depression, less anxiety. And I suspect then when you look at suicide rates in Australia and from ABS figures in 2018, 75% of people who suicided were men. I think there's some great merit in our special girlfriends.
Yes, I would believe that, and something that I live by, absolutely.
Ruth, actually, I was just going to say, Ruth Bader Ginsburg died this week. Really amazing, inspirational woman who was always supportive of gender equality, women's rights, people like that. There's just so many inspiring women around, both sort of famous and not. But I'm thinking you've already listed all the women who inspire you.
Not really. My mum is somebody who really inspires me. She's the one who I used to bake with. I used to tag around after her.
Yeah.
I was one of those MasterChef brats with the. I asked my mum to get me a duck to stuff with cherries for Christmas when I was about 10.
Okay, right. So we're looking overachiever right here.
And I did it, and the family still talk about it to this day.
Larissa.
So he was the one, and I remember my mind being blown the day she showed me, we're not going to make a cake from a packet today, we're going to do it from scratch. So she's the one who taught me how to cook, and introduced me to the Gourmet Travelers and that kind of thing that I love. And
wonderful.
When I was little, and she's also a career woman. As she was pretty high in the finance world for a long time, and still has gone back to work this year. On a part-time basis. So she's a force and a doer. If you want anything done, give it to my mum. She's there are those people in the world who just get things done. She's one of those, and I really admire that about her.
What sort of impact did that have then, having this strong force of nature as a mother? What were some of the consequences for you as her daughter?
Nothing's off limits. Nothing seems out of my scope. I suppose there's that. My husband would say I try to pack too much in.
No, you can never pack too much in.
Do you know when Oscar, my second son, was born?
Yeah.
that day I delivered a wedding cake and 80 caramel slices and then went to hospital to have a baby.
Oh, now see, now you're just showing off.
Kind of, I just you can't say no to things, so I try and shove as much in as possible.
Yeah, well, I always say you've got 24 hours in the day, so
Yeah.
use them up. I just wanted to go back to journalism, because journalism and baking seem worlds apart, but I love the way that something that you do in one life translates into skills in the next. Are there skills, things that you remember from journalism that have helped you in your small business?
Definitely. Lagging it for a little while, at the paper, they did throw you in at the deep end. It was like, go out, find this story, bring it back. And if you bring it back, you bring it back. If you don't, well, we'll find somebody else to do it. So
right.
Sink or swim. I learned that pretty fast. So you learn to get a certain confidence. I remember, I suppose you have to think on your feet, which translates to baking. Definitely, there's sometimes you'll have a mishap and have to fix it fast because somebody's relying on you for their wedding cake or their 21st cake, and you can't just turn up empty-handed and say, "Oops,"
Yeah, oops, didn't work.
So, but there was time. So, for instance, at the paper, I was on the midnight to dawn shift as a cadet, and this stands out to me as one time I definitely thought on my feet. There was a riot happening over a little Aboriginal boy that was killed after being chased by police, and it was really awful. And the community were very upset, and they ended up that night. There was riots in Redfern, and I was sent out to cover it with a photographer, and we got there and there was just this crowds and we couldn't see what was happening. And I remember there were these units, and I had to basically I talked my way up into one of those apartments so that we could get a better view of what was going on. And this lovely guy led us up into his home, and we basically set up a base there, and I was on the phone back to the office relaying what I saw, and the photographer ended up taking a Walkley winning photograph that year. So yeah, it was definitely a thinking on your feet moment.
Yeah, by talking your way up and thinking on your feet. So
and that translates to baking as well.
Yeah.
You've got to improvise sometimes.
Yes. Yes, or just make it up. I always think if something fails, I just turn it into something else. I'm very good at creating a something mess. It seems to be my specialty.
People go on and on about imposter syndrome and, I shouldn't be here. I don't deserve this. Well, that's a bit boring, isn't it? So have a go. You never know. Have a go at fixing it. Have a go at a different track, and it may just look like you were meaning that all along.
And it's probably good advice for people listening that might be thinking of starting their own small business, is sometimes it's just good to have a go. The only thing I would say with that, because during this year of COVID, a lot of people are being forced into looking at different ways of living, is to try and have, I've been in small business all of my life, and in this small business I have the support of someone with a full-time salary. Yes. And I think if you've got a little bit of support on the side, or if you're on your own, start it as a side hustle and keep your small business. Would you agree with that? So yes. Keep your small business as a side hustle, but stay with the job.
Yes. Yes. Keep your plan A while you're setting up your plan B. If you don't have that means of support. Yes, I've been, very lucky to have a supportive partner.
Yeah.
But having said that, if he wasn't bringing in the kind of salary that he was at the time, I would have found a different way. I would have had to have gone back to the paper.
Yes.
We would have made it work. But he said to me, "You've got this opportunity. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's see what we can, take this up for a spin and see what we
Nice.
can do."
And look at it now. We wouldn't be enjoying your beautiful celebration cakes and eating beautiful cakes in cafes. On cake, I have a couple. I'm going to shamelessly use my platform here to ask you some technical questions that I need to know.
Oh, okay.
First question. I love to make lemon curd, and I love lemon curd sort of sandwiched in sponges and things, or particularly Nadine Ingram's lemon dream cake, which is amazing. Every time I do it, everything just slides off. The curd just slides everywhere, right? And then it ends up being my lemon mess. So any tips on not letting the layers slide everywhere?
Yeah, actually. So what I do is you fill a piping bag full of do you have only lemon curd, or do you have something else? So generally when I do, say, a lemon curd sponge or something like that,
yeah,
I will fill a small piping bag with a buttercream, and you just pipe a ring around the edge of the cake, and you create like a dam, and then you fill the dam with your lemon curd and the cake doesn't slide. Or you can put a few skewers in, long skewers, and they will hold it in place if you don't want the buttercream.
I've heard that I've used dowel before. What's happened is my curd still squashes out the side, so I like the idea of the buttercream. Thank you very much. Have you got a favourite cake or dessert that you like to make?
Oh, I do. I make a variation on it's like a sticky date pudding, but it's in a cake, and it's a rum and date and apple cake. And it has, it's divine. So it's not, some people turn their nose up at the rum, but it's wintry comfort and delightful, full of a cinnamon caramel.
It sounds gorgeous.
Really delicious, yeah. So that would be that, and also the passion fruit curd tarts. They're always.
Oh yes, I love a bit of passion fruit curd. I'm salivating, and I'm on a fast day at the moment, so this is the worst possible time to be speaking to you. That all sounds absolutely gorgeous. How about favorite bakers? Got any cookbooks you can recommend?
Of course, Nadine Ingram's book. I cook loads out of that, and Charlie cooks. So my husband cooks the bready stuff from that too. So
nice.
The Gruyere zucchini and chili buns, and they're
beautiful
to die for. You halve them for breakfast with butter and toast them. They're amazing. I've also made what have I made from her? Her scones are really good. Her family chocolate cake is delicious.
Yes.
Yeah, made lots.
And and other cookbooks.
I want to get my hands on the Beatrix Bakes one. My husband bought me this French one, which is a baker from La Renaissance Bakery in Sydney, and that's a really beautiful one too. I make some of the tarts out of that. It's like a chocolate ganache and raspberry tart. It's really beautiful.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like, cherry clafouti tart.
Oh yeah, beautiful. Oh, this is all sounding way too good, way too nice. From going into small business and doing something you love, is there something that you'd like us to take away from you today?
Well, you've got to charge your worth. So charge for your time. That's something that I've learned over time. And just don't be scared. Have a go. You surprise yourself.
Yeah, get out there and have a go. That's Yep, great advice. Hey, listen, why shouldn't you get into a fight with an Italian baker?
I don't know why.
Because he'll beat the focaccia. See ya. Lovely having you. Bye. And that was the lovely Larissa. I would really love to live at her place, but I suspect I'd be the size of a house. I'm constantly reminded when I speak to people on these podcasts that all of us, every one of us, has had some stuff that's really tested our resilience and or our courage. I really loved Larissa's honesty, talking about her fear with her double mastectomy in her early 30s and her mastitis, And I really enjoyed the way that she remembered the humour and all the good bits about the friend that she'd lost as well. Now, if you'd like to have a look at Larissa's wonderful creations, head to littlepudding.com.au. Make sure you follow her on Instagram as well, just for the draw factor. And if you would like to order one of her beautiful celebration cakes, make sure that you do so months in advance so that you get in. And if you'd like to know more about me and the work that I do around working with people that you just don't get for less stress and greater productivity, head to lynscanella.com.au. And there you can do a short quiz and determine your own behavioural preference, whether you're an apple, mango, lime, or banana. As usual, if you liked what you heard today, I'd love you to leave a review, just tell a friend maybe, and certainly subscribe. We come out every fortnight. Make sure you don't miss out. It's been lovely having you along today. Thank you so much for listening. Respect, connect, and thrive. I'm Lynn Scanella, and this has been Fruitful Conversations.